welcome back to my channel, Blessed with my Pinay. And this is part 2 of the story of how I met my wife, the day that we met. But just a little bit more backstory. The reason why I knew folks from the Philippines in Hong Kong is because I had joined the Amway business back in the 90s. It's a multi-level marketing business, and it was doing really well back then. And I got in right when it was starting to expand into China and then later into the Philippines. And so I got in on the ground floor of the Amway expansion into China. I had teams in Shanghai and in Hong Kong. And the people who I'd internationally sponsored in Shanghai, they were all Chinese. But the folks that I had internationally sponsored in Hong Kong, they were all from the Philippines. And so I had visited Hong Kong and China back in 96, and then in 97 I didn't have as much time to go, and so I just visited Hong Kong in 97, but that's where all the growth was. I had 3 really strong growing teams. I was really proud of my teams from the Philippines who were in Hong Kong, and so I visited them in like I said, 96, 97, and then things kind of got rough a little bit. And then by the time 2000 rolled around, I had only one strong team, which was headed up by Rose. And so, when I went to visit for my birthday in the year 2000, I went to Hong Kong, and it was kind of a business trip. But in the back of my mind, as I mentioned, what I was really interested in was love. And so, that kind of leads me back to where I left off on the first video. And if you didn't see the first video of how I met my Pinay, you'll want to watch that first before you continue on with this video, and then you'll get the whole story. But where I left off is, well, here I was visiting my friends in Hong Kong, and I had met up with my friend Rose, who was the kind of a team leader there, and she wanted to introduce me to a couple of her Amway team members, because since I had internationally sponsored Rose, these people were on my team as well. And so all of a sudden, here we are in the landmark building, and around the corner came my future wife, Neng, and her friend, and then there was this other lady from the Philippines, and we're going to show you the picture on this. And yeah, on this side of me was my wife-to-be, and on this side of me was somebody I didn't really know either at the time, but she was on my Amway team, and then the other one was my friend, my wife's friend rather. And but suddenly I was surrounded by these 3 sexy ladies from the Philippines, and Rose was not trying to play matchmaker at all. This was just like a business meeting. But suddenly I was surrounded. Here I'm 40 years old looking for love, and suddenly I'm surrounded by these 3 super hot 20-something Asian ladies from the Philippines, and I was just thrilled. It was kind of one of the turning points of my life right there, and you can see from the smile on my face, I'm pretty happy, but I'm blushing at the same time. I'm a guy that never knows what to say around pretty girls. Maybe that's why I was 40 and never been married. I was never the guy that knew how to charm the ladies, So that's just my personality. But here I was surrounded by, and it was one of the best moments of my life. And so we were talking, and I didn't want this to end for obvious reasons. I wanted to the meeting to continue, but it was we had some conversation. It was only meant to say hi, hello, how you doing, and I could encourage them to continue their Amway business and that. But the Amway thing wasn't what I was really interested in anymore. I was looking for love, and I'm sitting there. I'm the guy that never knows what to say, right? But I think it may have come from God Himself, because I think maybe this whole thing was arranged in that way. And I just thought, hey, why don't we go sit down and have a Coke or Pepsi? And they said okay, except that, as I recall, I think the one Amway girl who was next to me on my right, I think she had to take off and do something, so I don't think she joined us. But my wife to be Neng and her friend and Rose, we all sat down and just had all of us got some kind of a drink or other, and we sat around talking. And during the conversation, I realized that I need to keep in touch with this lady that's on my Amway team. Plus, she's pretty hot. And so I ended up writing down my home address, because we were really doing things online wasn't as much of a thing as it is now at all. This is 20 years ago. And so I gave her my address. She gave me her address as well. And so we exchanged addresses. And then it was time for me to meet up with some other people from another Amway team. This other team had kind of disintegrated, and some people had moved back to the Philippines, and kind of things broke up. But I still had some people on another team that I was in touch with, and so we're going to meet with those folks. All right, and I'm going to put in a little bit more backstory, because on the way to Hong Kong, I had actually stopped in the Philippines for my very first time, and I met up with two of my friends who were also in Amway with me. And so I met them, and we ended up going to Boracay, believe it or not, and which is a really, really nice resort area. We headed out there, and as I was saying, I was looking for love. I didn't find it in Boracay. I think it was God's will to not find it there and lead me back to Hong Kong and to meet my sweetheart face to face. And so next, okay, so we were at the table, we're at the pizza place, enjoying our drinks and whatnot. The drinks were running out, and I was really it was like a love at first sight situation, you guys. And I didn't want her to go away. I know she needed to go back to where she lived. It was starting to get late by that point, but I didn't want to let her go. And so I had a great idea. Why not? Why don't I do a t-shirt giveaway? Because I had these souvenir t-shirts in my suitcase at my hotel, and so I decided, hey, I'll do a t-shirt giveaway, because I wanted her to stick around. I wanted to get to know her a little bit more and just be with her. And so we ended up decided to head back to my hotel where my t-shirts were, and plus I had some other Amway friends that was from another team, and I was going to give them some t-shirts as well. And so we all decided just to meet at my hotel, and I did do the t-shirt giveaway. And so we left from the landmark, and we needed to take this famous Hong Kong tram that's been there for probably 100 years, and so we got on the tram. But on the way to the tram came the magical moment with these shoes I mentioned in my previous video. And what happened was, we're headed towards the tram, and my sweetheart-to-be was kind of up ahead of me. And so we're walking along, and all of a sudden she gets to these train tracks wearing these shoes, and she stumbled on these shoes. And you can see the mark on it to this day. This was 20 years ago today, exactly when this moment happened. And you can see her shoe got wounded right there, and she fell, and she had this most graceful way of falling. Even when we were rollerblading after we got married, when she fell, it was so graceful. It was amazing. It wasn't really like falling. It was just kind of but she stumbled, and what was incredible is that most people I knew, if they were walking along and got embarrassed falling down, they would get back up angry, maybe even letting out a couple of cuss words, as a matter of fact, kind of American style. But she looked back at me and just shot me this beautiful smile, and it just, pow, it stunned me. It hit me right in the heart. And I was like, ooh, what kind of amazing person is just going to smile, shoot me this beautiful smile after falling down and getting embarrassed and half hurting herself and almost ruining her shoes. Although these are sturdy shoes, she's been wearing these off and on for the last 20 years. And so that's what I think really locked me in right there. I thought, wow, this is one special person I found. This could be the one. And so from there, we headed over to the hotel. We did my t-shirt giveaway, and I wanted her to be the first one to pick out a t-shirt, and so she did. And I understand she felt very honored because of that. And so we just really had a special thing going from the very beginning. And then she was late for getting out of there. She had another appointment. She had to head out. And so, sorry to say, we had to say our goodbyes, and I was only going to be able to see her that one time during my trip to Hong Kong. But we had each other's addresses, and we knew for a fact we were going to be writing back and forth. We knew we had something special from the beginning right there. And so, well, that essentially concludes the day we met, which was 20 years ago today. Today's April 9th, 2020. It was April 9th, the year 2000 was when we met on that magical day, one of the most amazing days of my life. So, well, I want to thank you for tuning in. We've been having a great, been married 18 and a half years. We have 3 kids in school. And we're just having a really blessed life. I want to thank the Lord for that. And I feel like we were meant to be together. I think it was arranged by guardian angels or whoever in heaven arranges these things. So there's really a match made in heaven. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I hope you'll stop by often. I'm going to put out videos on a regular basis. I hope you will subscribe and share and give us a like and have a wonderful day. Thank you.